Hi, welcome back to Cheyenne, Wyoming Urban Gardener, Garden Zone 5A, 5B in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And this is Debbie. We're getting ready to transplant some of these tomato plants. You can see just how kind of wild they have gotten. They have plenty of mature leaves on them, and it is time to start separating them out because you can see down in here that they're pretty close together. And some of them are kind of getting shaded out. They do have really strong stems. I know it does look like that they're kind of leggy, but they're not. They're actually doing quite well. And we come in every so often and just move them around to simulate breeze or something like that. So it kind of makes the stems stronger. And I'm still recovering from, I don't know, a cold, flu, something, but it's really affected my lungs. So I'm going to sound breathy in videos. So it's kind of there's honestly, when I was growing up, my dad actually smoked a lot in our house, and that kind of affected my lungs. And he was a chain smoker, pretty much. He smoked about 3 packs a day, 2 or 3 packs a day, just depending. And so that did some damage on my lungs when I was younger. And now, sometimes when I get sick, I have some issues with my lungs. And this one definitely kicked me in the butt. So anyway, or kicked me in the lungs, if you want to say. We're going to get these transplanted out. We've got some larger containers here. This is just a smaller tray, but it has larger containers in it. So this will hold 9. I'm going to need a lot more. I've actually got a couple more sitting right here. And then I have a bag full of smaller containers here. And then I have loads and loads of smaller containers outside as well. I do not have a whole lot of these kinds of trays. I think I only have 2, and one of these got lost, so that's why I'm kind of filling in with a different kind of container here. But I do have loads of these kinds of trays, and then I have these kinds of little containers that I have saved as well, cells. These are larger too. I could actually almost get my fist in each one of these. A couple of them have some splits in them, but they will still hold soil and they will still hold a plant. So if I have to, I can get these set out. And then I have one of these left as well. I'm going to clean this out and I'm going to put some more seeds in this one. And then I'm going to do some transplanting around of some peppers in here that I've had several come up in one cell. And we had some that were empty from where some did not come up. The purple bell peppers did not come up, as well as our better bells and our carabay. So I'm going to split these peppers up into one in each one of these cells, and that'll give them plenty of room for the next month, month and a half, in order for them to get bigger and stronger, because they're pretty slow growing, peppers are, until they kind of take off when you get them transplanted outside. So I'm going to get that done. I'm going to give these guys a little bit larger containers. These are tomatillos, and they're going to take off pretty quick. And they always, when I plant these from seed, they always look leggy. And then when you get them in soil with a larger container, they just take off. So these are going to be kind of hard to maintain. And I may just go ahead and start some more tomatillo seeds just in case, because they're going to be kind of hard to maintain in the house until we're ready to transplant them outside. So I'm really hoping for an early spring. We normally do not have warmer temperatures that we can do tomatillos and tomatoes and things like that outside until the first week of June. So you're looking at another 2 months, really, of grow time for these guys inside. And I know that kind of seems crazy even with the tomatoes. But the tomatoes, if you remember last season, I actually planted seeds at the same time. You can go back in some of my videos and see that. And I had super sauce tomatoes that just, super sauce and giant ox hearts and old Germans that just rocked it all spring and summer long, and Kellogg's breakfast tomatoes as well. So they did really, really well. They grew inside. Tomatoes, when you put them inside, they kind of slow down a little bit. So these will slow down until they get ready to be transplanted outside. So I'm going to get these separated out, get them into the larger containers, and we'll give them a little bit more grow time. Now, one of the things I do, because my soil, I usually keep my soil over the winter. I did have 2 bags of Master Garden soil, which is my preferred soil, comes from Menards. And I did have 2 bags of that. It had stayed outside and it froze and it thawed and things like that. And sometimes your soil, when it sits out like that, or even if you've got it sitting in a garage or in a garden shed or anything like that, it will become very, very dry, very powdery, in fact. And it's very hard for it to take water again. So one of the things that I do in order for it to take water a little bit better, and this is a tip, is to actually water it from the bottom. And I don't use any type of special water. I know some people like to use distilled water and stuff like that to get their seeds started and transplant and stuff like that, and I don't do that. I just use regular tap water because plants don't mind the water that they get as long as they get water and it's not too toxic. So I wouldn't consider tap water to be toxic. Just has chlorine in it because it's in the city. But for the most part, if you live out in the country, you probably are getting your water from a well or from a spring, something like that, which I wish that we had that, and we will have that again soon because we'll be moving to new property, and hopefully we'll either have a spring or we'll have a well. So anyway, that's what I do. I just put a little bit of water in there, about an inch, and let it sit in there for a while, and eventually it'll start soaking up the water. And then I also use a sprayer on the top, and then I'll make that all nice and moist up here, and then it'll basically catch up with each other. And that takes less time than trying to get it just going on the top, and the soil just sits there not doing anything, because that can happen sometimes. So that's what we're doing with that, is just getting the soil all nice and moist, and then we will start transplanting these guys. And now you can see that after just a little bit of some time, then we've got some really nice moist soil ready for transplanting. We're going to let it soak up a little bit more because it's kind of wet right now. And that will be ready to be planted into. I may add a little bit more soil in here because once you put the soil in and you've got it starting to get damp like this, then it's going to squish down quite a bit. So I may add a little bit more soil in there. In the meantime, while we wait for that, let's go outside and see what's going on. So this is outside around where our container garden is. We have lots of containers out here. I've started to clean up the area quite a bit. We've actually got a full bin out there waiting to be picked up. In the meantime, I've been going through my containers. We cleaned out all of the area over here where we had all of those containers stacked up. I've actually got them over here now. At least some of them. Some of them are actually put away. Just because we're going to have some work done on this area over here. We had some water that was getting down into the basement of the house, and there's a couple of concrete covers over some coal chutes that used to be here, and they were not working. They just were not holding the water out of the basement. So the temporary fix for it was to put sand over a layer of some black plastic. That worked fantastic for actually a few years before we could actually get in here and get some concrete done. And we found someone to actually do that because there is 2 concrete platforms here. You can see where it's kind of sticking up right here. There's one here that covers a coal chute, and then one here. And this is where we had some of our raised bed gardens sitting. So what they're going to do, this concrete company, they are going to come in and actually start from over here and then go all the way across with concrete all the way up to there. So that's going to fix the issue that we had with water getting in. And then there's a couple of pieces of concrete here that got pushed up from some tree roots from that tree that we were talking about in last video that used to be out here in this garden. And you can see that most of it has decomposed now. A little bit of it is exposed. And you can see most of it has decomposed and it's actually chipping off now. So I can probably take a sledgehammer and just finish breaking it up and get it on out of the soil. And then that area will be left for gardening as well for whoever moves into this property. So they'll have a little bit more garden space there. So we'll get this all fixed up, but in the meantime I'm working on cleaning up our containers for this season's planting. And I got a lot of them cleaned up, but I still have some more to go. And this all happened just today, so I'm a little tired. So we're just doing some transplanting in the house, and then I'll tackle more of this tomorrow. But we've got quite a bit of these cleaned up. I just need to get some of the stakes out of here, get some more of that cleaned up. Got some of the leaves out of here, still have some more to do. And we got some of our strawberries uncovered, and we got some of the old basil stems taken out of this converted kiddie pool. So now you can see that it is definitely a converted kiddie pool. And you can see all of our strawberries down in there are actually coming back out now. And I did find a baby strawberry plant over here. So there must have been some seeds blown into here. So I got to get that little guy out because his little crown and everything is right there, and get him transplanted back into here. I haven't noticed any more strawberry seeds. So it was just that one. So it must have been a strawberry laying over onto that container, because those containers used to all surround all the way around here. And one of them must have actually came over. So we've got loads and loads of strawberry plants that are definitely overwintered and are doing fantastic. You can see all kinds of new growth in there in the crown centers, and just looking fantastic. So we'll start getting out here and watering these in the next couple of days. Right now they're still very, very damp from just thawing out. And then we've got loads and loads more to do, because it's just kind of a mess out here. We had a pretty hard winter this winter, and still plenty more winter left to go, because we'll go all the way up until, again, usually the last part of May, first week of June even. Sometimes it can even be later than that, which I hope it is not. So we've got loads and loads of stuff to do out here, get this all cleaned up, and we're going to change out some of our containers for larger containers. We've got some 1 gallon containers, and they did fantastic. I don't mind growing in those, but I can get a little bit larger containers now that I have loads of others, and get those changed out a bit, and even add some more containers to it. We have about 100 containers that we grow in all through the spring and summer, and we're gonna add more to it before we leave here. So, and then we can actually start, because the soil is all thawed out now in these, we can start planting some lettuce, radishes, and things like that in these bigger containers, and we will start having lettuce and radishes soon. So that's what all is going on around our house. Just getting lots of things cleaned up, transplanted, all of that. So like, subscribe, hit the notification bell for notices on new videos as they come out, and we'll see you in the next one.